Hi, this is Pravasi Sinha. Today I will be talking about tackling climate crisis in the fractured world, major questions which need to be answered. Of my academic career, I would like to mention few of my milestones in India. In 1993, I created the first Center for Environmental Law in India, and in subsequent year, I developed the first draft of the National Biodiversity Law, which India has today. The topic for this presentation is the climate crisis in the fractured world. The contemporary world's collective inability to secure inclusive growth and preserve scarce resources puts multiple global systems at risk. The global responses are also ineffective due to crumbling multilateralism and the continuing promotion of unsustainable economic growth based on consumerism. In addition, the discontent with the consequences of globalization has destabilized national governance and in the process, further corroded prospects of effective global governance in facing symbiotic social, political, and environmental crises. When coupled with the real decline in national sovereignty brought on by economic globalization, protectionism prevails and multiculturalism fades. The irony is that protectionist measures will neither generate prosperity nor peace, and much less reduce the environmental threats. The ultimate result is the existence of fractured world in which we live today. The year 2020 has gone down in the history of being the warmest year since temperature recordings began in 1880. Unfortunately, excessive heat is mostly caused by humans. The Global Carbon Project found that 41.3 billion tons of heat-trapping carbon dioxide was emitted in the atmosphere in the previous year, a 16% increase from 2018, and an all-time record. Most of the gas came from the burning of fossil fuels for our consumption. If we continue down this road, we are in for a big trouble. As we enter 2021, the planet has already warmed more than 1 degree Fahrenheit since the pre-industrial era. We are also off track to meet the Paris Agreement goals of keeping global temperature below 3.6 degree Fahrenheit in the next decade. If nothing changes, the future with climate change will be harsh, especially for communities of color, lower income communities, and immigrant groups that are most vulnerable to impacts from extreme weather events such as heat waves, flooding, hurricanes, etc. The trajectory of climate change and the shortcomings of ongoing efforts to address it clearly expose the current crisis in global governance, fostered by widespread disenchantment with globalization, and reflect on the risks that the resulting political contravention presents to our environmental future. Trump's flagrant negativism has embodied other world leaders also to turn their back on their already feeble environmental pledges. Upcoming environmental threats may soon be well beyond the capacity of human technology, since they involve pressure on interlinked planetary boundaries that once exceeded, detonate state shifts of unknown nature and dimensions. The 2019 UN Climate Action Summit focused on key sectors where action can make the most difference. These sectors involve heavy industries, nature-based solutions, cities, energy resilience, and climate finance. Climate change is now affecting every country on every continent. It is disrupting national economies and affecting lives, costing people, communities, and countries dearly today and even more tomorrow. Without action, the world's average surface temperature is likely to surpass 3 degrees centigrade in this century. Affordable, scalable solutions are now available to enable countries to leapfrog to cleaner, more resilient economies. The pace of change is quickening as more people are turning to renewable energy and a range of other measures that will reduce emissions and increase adaptation efforts. Climate change, however, is a global challenge that does not respect national boundaries. It is an issue that requires solutions that need to be coordinated at the international level to help developing countries move towards a low carbon economy. Collectively, the three post-2015 agendas for action, the Paris Agreement, the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, and the Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction, provide the foundations for sustainable, low carbon, resilient development under the changing climate. The Paris Agreement builds on the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change, bringing all nations into a common cause to reduce greenhouse gas emissions rapidly and to strengthen the ability of countries to build resilience and adapt to the impact of climate change, including through ensuring adequate support for developing countries. The early entry into force of Paris Agreement and successful operationalization through the achievement of Katowice climate package, the world has entered a new era of collective efforts on the climate change, focusing us on urgently increasing ambition and implementation at all levels of government, business, and civil society. Two very distinct pathways can be visualized. First, reduce to essentials. The first of these assumes that business as usual, given the inherent capabilities of market forces, and particularly their proficiency in developing technology, will be sufficient to overcome whatever natural hurdles come up to the road to continued development. The second pathway considers that awareness raising will be necessary to change the very meaning of development before sustainability can be achieved. Therein, a drastic change in dominant political economy, leading to dramatic transformation in consumption patterns, will be necessary in order to avoid further risky transgressions of critical planetary boundaries. Motivation of this revolution could theoretically come through massive and data-based advocacy. Yet it is more likely to arise from the anxieties caused by the multiplication of extreme weather events and tangible massive ecological disasters. The United Nations recently warned that we need to be more aggressive in implementing climate solutions. That mostly means reducing climate emissions and boosting clean energy. In order to do that, we need to look beyond the usual tactics. We need to prioritize the needs of local communities over oil companies and rethink how we use our shared lands and waters. We cannot move forward with any of the tactics above without having legislation in place that establishes the right framework. Laws to ensure that our climate plans are part of the climate solution are exactly what we need in 2021 to face the massive challenge that the climate change is. It is national policies for limiting emissions that will have significant impact on the global climate for decades to come. There exists a need to identify contemporary strategies being used to mobilize diverse political actors and social groups for transformative change and explore forms of engagement that are pushing back against inequalities, exclusion, and cleavages to identify ways to design and deliver a 21st century eco-social compact and necessary enabling conditions. A comprehensive green economy is the one that enhances human prosperity and fabricates social value while lessening ecological dangers and shortcomings. In 2008, UN Environment propelled the Green Economy Initiative, a program of worldwide research and national level help intended to persuade policymakers to help natural speculations. At the UN General Assembly 2015, UN Environment distributed revealing pathways towards a comprehensive green economy. The so-called new eco communities, if achieved, would function even better or more joyously on their other goals of helping the co-create the necessary restructuring and realignment of society necessary to create sustainable prosperity for all humanity, a just civilization, and thriving and meaningful individuals and communities, all of which will better align with and forward a positive and progressive evolution of life in the universe. I thank you very much, and I wish all the best to this virtual World Congress. Bye-bye.